For more than 3,000 years, people have searched for a single object. Kings have sought it, empires have fought over it, archaeologists have searched for it. Religious believers have prayed before the places where they believe it rests. Some claim it possesses supernatural power, others believe it never existed at all. Its name is the Ark of the Covenant. If it were discovered today, it would likely become the single most important archaeological find in human history. But before we can ask where it is, we first have to understand what it was. According to the Hebrew Bible, around the 13th century BC, after the Israelites escaped slavery in Egypt, Moses climbed Mount Sinai and entered into a covenant with God. There he received the 10 Commandments engraved on 2 stone tablets. These tablets represented not only divine law, but the covenant between God and the people of Israel. According to the book of Exodus, God then gave Moses remarkably detailed instructions for constructing a sacred chest that would house the tablets. This object became known as the Ark of the Covenant. Unlike many ancient legends that describe miraculous objects only in vague terms, the Ark is described with surprising precision. It was to be built from acacia wood, a dense hardwood common in the deserts of the Middle East. The chest measured 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high, roughly 4 feet by 2.25 feet by 2.25 feet, using modern measurements. Every surface, inside and out, was to be overlaid with pure gold. A decorative crown of gold surrounded its upper edge. 4 solid gold rings were attached to its corners. Through these rings passed 2 long poles made of acacia wood and covered with gold. The poles were never to be removed. No one was permitted to touch the ark directly. Its lid was known as the mercy seat. At each end stood a golden cherub facing inward. Their wings stretched upward until they nearly touched above the center of the ark, creating what the scriptures describe as the place where God's presence would appear. The ark was not merely a container. According to the biblical account, it represented the physical symbol of God's covenant with Israel. It occupied the holiest place in the Israelite camp. Only specially appointed priests could transport it. Even then, strict rules governed every movement. According to the book of Numbers, the ark was carefully wrapped before travel, carried only with its poles, and surrounded by elaborate rituals designed to prevent accidental contact. The consequences for violating those rules were described as severe. Throughout the Hebrew Bible, the ark accompanies many of Israel's defining moments. When the Israelites crossed the Jordan River, the priests carrying the ark stepped into the water first. According to the account, the river stopped flowing, allowing the people to cross on dry ground. Later came one of the Bible's most famous stories, the city of Jericho. For 6 days, the Israelite army marched around the city's massive walls, carrying the ark before them. On the 7th day, they circled the city 7 times. Trumpets sounded. The people shouted. According to the biblical narrative, the walls of Jericho collapsed. Whether understood as history, theology, or tradition, the ark stood at the center of the story. It was never portrayed as a weapon. It symbolized the presence of God accompanying Israel wherever the nation traveled. Eventually, the ark found a permanent home. King Solomon constructed the first temple in Jerusalem during the 10th century BC. At the very center of the temple stood the Holy of Holies, an inner sanctuary entered by the high priest only once each year. There, hidden behind heavy curtains and surrounded by silence, rested the Ark of the Covenant. For centuries it remained the spiritual heart of ancient Israel. Pilgrims travelled great distances to worship in Jerusalem. Kings ruled under its symbolic authority. Prophets spoke before it. The ark became more than a sacred object. It became the identity of an entire nation. Then, the historical record grows strangely quiet. No detailed description tells us when the ark was last seen. No ancient inventory records its removal. No eyewitness account describes its final journey as powerful empires rose across the Near East: Assyria, Egypt, Babylon. The fate of history's most famous religious artifact slowly disappeared into mystery. By the time Babylon conquered Jerusalem in 586 BC, the Ark of the Covenant had vanished from the historical record, and that mystery has endured for more than 25 centuries.